The crystalline spires of New Geneva Station pierced the eternal night of space like frozen lightning, their surfaces reflecting the light of distant stars. Ambassador Sarah Chin stood at the viewport of her quarters, adjusting the collar of her midnight blue diplomatic uniform. The Galactic Assembly would convene in 30 minutes, and everything had to be perfect. 5 years of preparation had led to this moment. Final intelligence report, Ambassador, her AI assistant Arya announced, its holographic form materializing beside her. The Drachnid delegation has taken their seats early. They seem anxious. Chin allowed herself a small smile. They should be. The Drachnids had been among the most aggressive exploiters of human space, hiding behind shell companies and proxy pirates. Today, they would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. The walk to the assembly chamber was long, deliberate. Chen's footsteps echoed through the station's pristine corridors, each step marking time until humanity's greatest gambit would begin. Security drones buzzed overhead, their sensors scanning every movement. They were watching her, of course. They always watched humans. The younger races needed constant supervision, or so the assembly claimed. The massive doors of the Galactic Assembly slid open with a whisper of advanced technology. 2,000 years of interstellar democracy had produced this chamber, a vast amphitheater where representatives of 500 space-faring civilizations gathered to govern the known galaxy. The air hummed with translation fields and privacy barriers, 1,000 languages being processed and filtered in real time. Chin took her place at the speaker's podium, her expression carefully neutral. Above her, tier upon tier of alien delegates watched with compound eyes, sensory clusters, and organs humans had no words to describe. The Drachnid delegation scaled hide glistened under the chamber's lights, while the crystalline axleth refracted them into rainbow patterns. Honorable representatives, Chin began, her voice clear and steady. I come before you today not with petitions or complaints, but with an announcement. She paused, letting the translation fields catch up. For 5 years, humanity has brought evidence of systematic exploitation of our colonies. For 5 years, we have documented attacks by pirates who somehow possessed military-grade technology. For 5 years, we have traced the sale of human slaves through markets operating within assembly space. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Drachnid representative, Lord Kexti, leaned forward on his hover platform. These accusations have been addressed, Ambassador Chin. If your evidence was insufficient before. My evidence is not for you, Chin cut him off, something no human had dared do before. She touched a control on her podium, and the chamber's holographic display came to life. It showed a vast star map of assembly space, with thousands of points of light representing various installations and trade routes. This is a real-time display of human commercial shipping activity within assembly jurisdiction. Over 10,000 vessels, carrying everything from grain to industrial equipment. The Axleth speaker's crystalline form chimed in confusion. We fail to see the relevance of your merchant fleet to these accusations. Chen's smile grew sharper. Watch carefully. She pressed another control. Across the star map, the human ships began to change. Cargo containers split apart, revealing weapon systems. Merchant vessels transformed into warships. Mining platforms became missile batteries. Throughout assembly space, the facade of human weakness fell away like autumn leaves. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security forces moved toward the podium, but Chen's next words froze them in place. Any hostile action taken against me will trigger immediate military response. As you can see, we're well positioned for it. This is an act of war. Lord Kexti's scales had turned pale with shock. No, Chen's voice cut through the pandemonium like a laser through vacuum. This is justice. While you dismissed our complaints, we built our response. While you profited from our suffering, we prepared your reckoning. Humanity is not declaring war today. Her eyes locked with Kexti's compound gaze. We are declaring our terms for peace. The holographic display shifted again, showing detailed evidence of assembly members' involvement in attacks on human colonies. Banking records, communication logs, shipping manifests, 5 years of meticulous intelligence gathering laid bare. You assumed our technological advancement would follow the same patterns as other young races, Chun continued. You never considered that we might advance in ways you couldn't detect. Every human ship in assembly space has been gathering data, mapping your defenses, and preparing for this moment. The X-Left speaker's crystalline form vibrated with distress patterns. The assembly cannot be dictated to by primitives? By children. Chen's laugh was cold. Your arrogance blinds you. Look at the display again. Every human vessel is now combat-ready, positioned near critical assembly infrastructure. We don't need to fire a single shot to bring interstellar commerce to a halt. She placed a data crystal on the podium. These are our terms. Fair trade agreements. Reparations for human victims. Joint task forces to eliminate slave trading. You have 1 standard hour to begin negotiations. Chen straightened her uniform. Choose carefully. Humanity has learned patience, but we have not learned forgiveness. As she turned to leave the podium, the chamber remained silent. The giants of galactic civilization had just realized that while they were watching for humanity to follow their path to the stars, humans had carved their own. Fleet Admiral Marcus Jackson stood in the heart of humanity's greatest deception. To the outside world, the sprawling complex beneath Titan's icy surface was a research station studying the moon's hydrocarbon lakes. In reality, it was the command center of Operation Shadow Web, humanity's silent preparation for galactic war. Status report on the Merchant Marine Conversion Program, Jackson ordered, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing thousands of civilian vessels scattered across assembly space. The massive underground chamber hummed with activity as officers coordinated humanity's hidden fleet. Colonel Diana Patel stepped forward, her quantum tablet displaying real-time updates. Phase 3 is complete, Admiral. 8,000 commercial vessels have been successfully retrofitted with metamaterial weapon housings. The assembly's scanning technology still reads them as standard cargo ships. Jackson nodded, a slight smile crossing his weathered face. And the crews? All military personnel with deep-cover civilian identities, Patel confirmed. They've been running regular trade routes for months, mapping defense grids and response patterns. The assembly thinks they're watching a merchant fleet develop. They're actually watching a war fleet deploy. The display shifted to show a different kind of deception. Scattered throughout asteroid fields and nebulae, seemingly abandoned mining operations, concealed state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities. Every piece of technology humanity had acquired through trade or salvaged from pirate attacks had been meticulously studied, reverse-engineered, and improved upon. Dr. Elena Santos, head of the Advanced Weapons Division, approached with her own report. The quantum phase cannons are ready, Admiral. We've successfully masked their energy signatures as standard mining lasers. The Assembly's own shipping regulations are protecting our weapons development. And the defense systems? Santos smiled, her excitement barely contained. Better than we hoped. The metamaterial hull plating doesn't just hide our weapons, it can absorb and redirect enemy fire. We've turned their own scanning technology into a weapon. Every scan they run gives us more data about their capabilities. The central display suddenly pulsed with new information. A junior officer rushed forward. Admiral, we're receiving the latest intelligence from the Drachnid shipyards. Their new Dreadnought-class vessels have a vulnerability in their shield harmonics. Jackson's expression remained neutral, but his eyes gleamed. Add it to the tactical database. Every piece of information, every scan, every transmission, it all feeds the plan. He turned to address the command center at large. For 5 years, they've dismissed us as primitives playing with borrowed technology. They never considered that we might look at their innovations differently, find applications they never imagined. The display shifted again, showing the complex web of human operations throughout assembly space. Trade routes that doubled as strategic deployment paths. Repair stations positioned to serve as forward operating bases. Mining operations that could transform into fortified positions at a moment's notice. Status of the Lazarus Protocol? Jackson asked. Colonel Patel brought up a new display. All human colonies have completed their underground shelters and defense systems. If the Assembly retaliates with planetary strikes, our people will survive. The bunkers are equipped with enough supplies and manufacturing capability to sustain resistance indefinitely. Dr. Santos added, the quantum entanglement communication network is fully operational. Even if they destroy our conventional communication relays, we'll maintain command and control capabilities. Jackson studied the tactical display, watching the pieces of humanity's grand deception move into their final positions. Each civilian ship was a weapon in disguise. Each trading post was a fortress waiting to be unveiled. Each mining operation was an arsenal ready to be unleashed. Send word to Ambassador Chin, he ordered. Operation Shadow Web is ready. When she presents our evidence to the Assembly, we'll be prepared for any response. As the command staff carried out his orders, Jackson reflected on the irony of their situation. The Assembly's dismissal of humanity as primitive had been their greatest advantage. While they watched for obvious military buildups, humanity had turned their entire civilian infrastructure into a war machine. Sir, Colonel Patel interrupted his thoughts. We're receiving reports from our deep cover agents. Several Assembly members are beginning to suspect something, but they can't quite piece it together. Jackson's smile was grim. By the time they do, it will be too late. Humanity won't just match their military might. We'll redefine how war is waged in this galaxy. The massive display showed the true scope of Operation Shadow Web, not just a military buildup, but a complete reimagining of how a civilization could prepare for conflict. Every trade deal, every diplomatic mission, every civilian operation had been part of the plan. The Assembly had taught humanity the rules of galactic civilization, never realizing their student would learn to bend those rules in ways they never imagined. Send the final authorization codes, Jackson ordered. All units are to maintain their cover until Ambassador Chen gives the signal. When the Assembly realizes what we've built, I want them to understand that their own arrogance made it possible. The command center hummed with activity as humanity's hidden fleet prepared for the moment of revelation. Soon, the galaxy would learn that sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the one you can see, it's the one hiding in plain sight. The Drachnid pirate haven of Nexus 7 hung in the void like a twisted crown of metal and stone. Built into a massive asteroid, it had served as a base for raids against human colonies for years. Now, as Ambassador Chen delivered humanity's ultimatum to the Assembly, Captain Sarah Rodriguez watched her merchant vessel approach the station. Final confirmation received, her tactical officer whispered. Operation Shadow Web is active. We're cleared to reveal combat capabilities. Rodriguez allowed herself a predatory smile. Send the signal to all ships in the battle group. Execute Protocol Avalanche. Across the sector, 20 seemingly harmless cargo ships suddenly transformed. Armored panels slid away, revealing weapon ports. Hull sections rotated, bringing concealed energy weapons online. The ship's material coating shifted, dropping the civilian disguise to reveal sleek warships. Multiple contacts. The pirate station's warning systems flared to life. Weapon signatures detected. They're not merchant vessels. Too late, Rodriguez murmured. Fire control, target their defense grid. Show them what a primitive human ship can do. The quantum phase cannons fired, their beams cutting through the station's shields as if they weren't there. Years of scanning pirate defenses had revealed every weakness, every vulnerability. The station's operators had never realized that every attack on a human colony had been a learning experience for the humans. Meanwhile, in the Shi Centauri sector, another strike was underway. Commander John Chin, no relation to the ambassador, led a fleet of mining vessels against one of the largest slave trading outposts in Assembly space. The ships shed their industrial appearances, transforming into heavily armed assault vessels. Multiple Assembly warships detected, his sensor officer reported. They're moving to intercept. Chin nodded calmly. Activate the Chimera protocol. Let's show them why scanning us so many times was a mistake. The human ship's material hulls began cycling through different energy signatures, broadcasting false sensor readings. To the Assembly ship scanners, it appeared as if they were facing 3 times as many vessels, each apparently equipped with different weapon systems. Sir, they're falling back. The tactical officer couldn't keep the excitement from his voice. Their targeting systems can't get a lock. Back at the Galactic Assembly, the revelations continued. Ambassador Chen's holographic display now showed real-time footage of human forces striking at dozens of pirate bases and illegal operations throughout Assembly space. Each target had been chosen not just for tactical value, but for political impact. As you can see, she addressed the stunned Assembly members. Humanity has not been idle while you ignored our complaints. Every ship you scanned, every technology you shared, every tactic you used against us, we studied them all. And we improved upon them. The Axleth speaker's crystalline form vibrated with alarm patterns as reports flooded in. Human forces were striking with unprecedented precision, using technologies that shouldn't have been possible for such a young race. In the Orion Spur, Admiral Jackson coordinated the operations from his command center beneath Titan. The tactical display showed green lights across the board as human forces achieved objective after objective. "Status report on Operation Hydra," he commanded. Colonel Patel's response was immediate. All primary targets neutralized. Pirate bases and slave trading operations are being systematically dismantled. Assembly military response has been minimal. They're still trying to understand what they're facing. Dr. Santos added, "The quantum phase cannons are exceeding expectations. Their shields were designed to stop kinetic and energy weapons, but our beams exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. We're not just penetrating their defenses, we're bypassing them entirely." In the Carina sector, another, merchant fleet, revealed its true nature. The ship's metamaterial hulls had been recording and analyzing every scan they'd been subjected to over the years. Now they used that data to project false sensor readings, making Assembly commanders see threats that didn't exist while missing the real ones until it was too late. The Assembly's military response was chaotic and uncoordinated. They had planned for human aggression, but they had planned for the wrong kind of war. They expected crude attacks with borrowed technology. Instead, they faced an enemy that had studied their every weakness and developed countermeasures they never imagined. Back in the Assembly chamber, Ambassador Chen continued her presentation. "We understand that change is difficult. The Assembly has grown comfortable with its power structure. But comfort breeds complacency, and complacency breeds corruption. Today, that changes." She gestured to the holographic display, now showing the aftermath of the human strikes. Liberated slaves were being evacuated from raided outposts. Pirate bases that had operated with impunity for decades were now floating debris fields. Assembly military vessels hung back, their commanders unwilling to engage ships they couldn't properly scan or target. "This is not just a demonstration of force," Chun declared. "It is a demonstration of principle. Every target we struck was engaged in illegal activities that the Assembly chose to ignore. We have not attacked legitimate military or civilian targets. We have not harmed innocent lives. We have simply done what you refused to do, enforced the law." The chamber was silent now, the Assembly members watching as humanity's careful planning bore fruit. They had dismissed humans as primitives playing with borrowed technology, never realizing that humanity's greatest weapons were patience, observation, and the ability to think differently about the tools they were given. In the Titan Command Center, Admiral Jackson watched the operations continue with clockwork precision. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Phase 1 is complete. Prepare for Phase 2. Let's see how the Assembly reacts when they realize this was just the beginning." The private chambers of the Assembly's inner council had never seen such chaos. 3 days after humanity's revelation and subsequent military action, the most powerful beings in the galaxy argued like frightened children. The Drachnid Lord Kexti's scales had lost their luster, while the Axleth speaker's crystalline form pulsed with stress patterns. "We must respond with overwhelming force." The Drachnid Lord's tail lashed in agitation. "Show these upstarts the true might of the Assembly." The Meridian Ambassador, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, glowed with skepticism. "And risk open war with an enemy who has already proven they can negate our technological advantages? The humans aren't fighting like a young race. They're fighting like they've studied warfare for millennia." In the corner, the Synthavian representative's mechanical body hummed as it processed the tactical data. Analysis indicates the humans have not yet revealed their full capabilities. Their strikes were precise, measured. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. The Axleth speaker chimed in distress. Reports from our outer colonies are disturbing. 3 more member races have officially declared neutrality in this conflict. They're calling for investigations into the evidence the humans presented. Traitors, Kexti spat. They would side with primitives? They side with their own interests, the Meridian ambassador's glow pulsed thoughtfully. The humans didn't just attack pirates and slavers. They exposed corruption that reaches into this very chamber. Some of our colleagues are conspicuously absent today, aren't they? Meanwhile, aboard the human diplomatic vessel, Unity, Ambassador Chin was having a very different kind of meeting. Holographic representations of 5 assembly member races, ones who had long opposed the corruption Chin had exposed, stood before her. Your evidence is compelling. The Talarian diplomat's tentacles waved in complex patterns, expressing both admiration and concern. But why reveal your capabilities now? Why not continue building your strength in secret? Chen's smile was diplomatic but held an edge. Because true strength isn't just about military power. It's about choosing the right moment to act and the right way to act. We struck at criminals and exposed corruption. Now we wait to see who stands for justice and who stands for the status quo. In the Titan Command Center, Admiral Jackson reviewed reports from across assembly space. Colonel Patel's voice was tight with excitement as she delivered the latest intelligence. 17 assembly member races have officially called for emergency reviews of trade policies and colonial protection protocols. The Drachnid's political allies are abandoning them as more evidence of their involvement in piracy comes to light. The assembly is fracturing along ideological lines. Jackson nodded, studying the tactical display. And our new friends? The Talarians are already sharing data on assembly defense protocols. The Meridians have offered access to their quantum computation networks. Even some of the synthetic races are reaching out. They say our approach to adapting technology mirrors their own evolution. In the Assembly's public chamber, the debate had turned bitter. Accusations flew as centuries-old alliances crumbled under the weight of exposed secrets. The Drachnid delegation found themselves increasingly isolated as their former allies distanced themselves from the scandal. The Synthavian representative's mechanical voice cut through the chaos. Perhaps we should consider that the humans have done us a service. They have exposed flaws in our system that we chose to ignore. Their methods were aggressive, yes, but their targets were those who violated our own laws. Laws? Lord Kexti's scales flushed with rage. They built a secret war fleet under our nose. They violated every protocol for technological development. Did they? The Meridian ambassador's glow brightened. Show me the law that says a merchant ship cannot be converted for military use. Show me the protocol that forbids improving upon technology legally acquired through trade. The humans didn't break our laws, they found the gaps in them. Back on the Unity, Ambassador Chen received word that 3 more assembly races had requested private meetings. The so-called primitive humans had demonstrated not just military capability, but political sophistication. They had turned the Assembly's complex web of laws and regulations into a weapon more effective than any quantum phase cannon. Admiral Jackson reports Phase 2 is proceeding as planned, her AI assistant Arya reported. The Assembly's power structure is realigning exactly as predicted. Chin watched the political chaos unfold with satisfaction. The Drachnids and their allies thought they could prey on us because we were young. They never considered that youth might be an advantage. We looked at their ancient systems with fresh eyes and saw opportunities they never imagined. In the Titan Command Center, Admiral Jackson received reports of Assembly warships withdrawing from confrontational positions near human space. Not in retreat, but in recognition of new political realities. The balance of power wasn't shifting through force of arms, but through the precision application of truth. Send word to all commands, he ordered. Maintain current positions, but do not escalate. Let them see that we can show restraint as well as strength. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you choose not to use. The galaxy was changing, not through the expected chaos of war, but through the controlled demolition of a corrupt system. Humanity had not just revealed its strength, it had revealed the weaknesses in an order that had stood for thousands of years. And in doing so, they had gained something more valuable than military victory, allies who shared their vision for a better galaxy. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, in a facility whose existence was unknown even to most of humanity, Dr. Elena Santos stood before the assembled representatives of Earth's new alien allies. The chamber was a testament to human ingenuity, a vast laboratory where the laws of physics seemed more like polite suggestions. "What you're about to see," she began, "represents humanity's true technological revolution. Everything we've revealed so far was just the surface." The Talarian scientists' tentacles writhed in astonishment as Santos activated the first demonstration. A sphere of pure energy materialized in the center of the room, containing what appeared to be a small piece of space-time folded in on itself. "We didn't just copy your technology," Santos explained. "We asked questions no one had asked in millennia. Why does quantum phase shifting work? What are the fundamental principles behind your FTL drives?" The assembly gave us tools. We sought to understand the science behind them. In orbit above Jupiter, Admiral Jackson led another group of alien representatives on a tour that was reshaping their understanding of human capabilities. What appeared to be a small research station suddenly rippled, its metamaterial hull revealing a massive shipyard hidden in plain sight. "Our greatest advantage wasn't secrecy," Jackson explained as newly commissioned warships emerged from their quantum camouflage. "It was your certainty that you knew what we were capable of. You saw what you expected to see. A young race playing with borrowed toys." The alien observers watched in stunned silence as human ships demonstrated capabilities that should have been impossible. Vessels phased in and out of normal spacetime, their quantum drives operating on principles that turned established physics on its head. Defense systems didn't just stop incoming fire, they redirected it, turning enemy weapons against themselves. Back in Europa, Dr. Santos unveiled the crown jewel of human innovation. "We call it the Nexus Matrix," she said, activating a device that filled the chamber with a web of quantum-entangled energy. "It's not just a weapon or a defense system. It's a new way of thinking about space, time, and energy." The Synthavian observers' mechanical eyes whirred as they analyzed the display. "This shouldn't be possible. You've only had access to quantum technology for 5 years. Santos smiled. 5 years of asking questions that no one has asked for thousands of years. 5 years of looking at old problems with new perspectives. Your civilizations had mastered these technologies so long ago, you stopped trying to truly understand them." In lunar orbit, Colonel Patel led yet another demonstration. A fleet of small, unmanned vessels performed maneuvers that defied conventional physics. They didn't just cloak themselves, they bent probability itself, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously until observation collapsed their quantum state. "Schrödinger's fleet," Patel explained to the astonished observers. "Your sensors can't target what exists in multiple states at once. And when they try to establish a lock, the act of observation itself determines where our ships aren't." The Meridian ambassador's energy form fluctuated with excitement. "You've weaponized quantum uncertainty itself. This goes beyond mere technological advancement." "Because we never saw technology as an end in itself," Jackson replied, watching the display. "Each discovery led to new questions. Each innovation sparked new ideas. We didn't just want to catch up to the assembly, we wanted to surpass it." In the Europa facility, Santos revealed the true scope of human advancement. Weapons that didn't just destroy targets, but temporarily removed them from the timeline. Defense systems that predicted attacks before they were launched by analyzing quantum probability states. Communications networks that operated outside normal spacetime, impossible to intercept or jam. "But the most powerful weapon in our arsenal," she concluded, "isn't any of this technology. It's our ability to think differently about it. Every piece of technology the assembly gave us, every scan they ran on our ships, every attack we endured, they all taught us something new." The alien representatives began to understand the full implications. Humanity hadn't just built a hidden arsenal, they had developed an entirely new approach to science and warfare. The Assembly's greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating human military capability, but underestimating human curiosity and creativity. In the Titan Command Center, Admiral Jackson received the reports from all demonstration sites. The message was clear: humanity's new allies were both impressed and unnerved by what they'd seen. The balance of power hadn't just shifted, it had been fundamentally transformed. "Send word to Ambassador Chin," he ordered. "Phase 3 is complete. Our allies understand now that supporting humanity isn't just a political choice, it's an opportunity to be part of a technological revolution." As the demonstrations concluded, Dr. Santos addressed one final question from the Talarian scientist. "Aren't you afraid of sharing these advancements? Of losing your advantage?" Her answer captured the essence of humanity's true strength. Our advantage was never the technology itself. It was our drive to understand it, improve it, and imagine new possibilities. That's something that can't be copied or stolen. It has to be learned. We're not looking for servants or subjects. We're looking for partners who share our curiosity about what's possible. The hidden arsenal had been revealed, but its true power wasn't in the weapons themselves. It was in humanity's approach to knowledge and innovation, an approach that promised to reshape the galaxy in ways the Assembly had never imagined. 1 month after humanity's revelations, the Galactic Assembly chamber looked markedly different. The tiered seats had been rearranged, breaking the traditional hierarchical structure that had dominated for millennia. At the center of the chamber, Ambassador Sarachin stood alongside representatives from 27 Assembly races, former enemies and new allies united by a vision of change. "The old Assembly is dead," Chin declared, her voice carrying the weight of history in making. "It died not from military defeat, but from its own corruption. Today we build something new." The Drachnid delegation, now reduced to observer status, watched from the upper tiers as their former empire of influence crumbled. Lord Kexti's scales had dulled to a lifeless gray, the former power broker now a witness to the end of an era. The Galactic Cooperative, Chun continued, activating a holographic display that showed a new organizational structure, will be founded on principles of technological innovation, mutual defense, and genuine justice. No more shadowy deals. No more ignored crimes. No more artificial restrictions on technological development. In the space around New Geneva Station, a joint fleet of human and allied vessels demonstrated the new reality. Ships of different species flew in formation, their crews working together to test integrated defense systems and shared technologies. Admiral Jackson, watching from the Unity's bridge, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. "Status report on the integration protocols," he commanded. Colonel Patel's hologram appeared beside him. "Better than expected, sir. The Talarians have already adapted our quantum phase technology to their biological ships. The Synthavians are helping us refine our AI systems. Even the Meridians are sharing energy manipulation techniques we never imagined." Below the surface of Europa, Dr. Santos led a very different kind of revolution. The research facility had become a hub of interspecies scientific collaboration. Beings of all forms worked side by side, combining their unique perspectives to push the boundaries of what was possible. The Assembly's greatest failure, Santos explained to a group of newly arrived alien scientists, wasn't their corruption. It was their stagnation. They had all this amazing technology, but they stopped asking why and what if. They stopped imagining new possibilities. In the Assembly chamber, now renamed the Cooperative Council, Chen activated another display. It showed the results of the first joint human-alien operation against a major slave trading network. The criminals had expected to face traditional Assembly forces. Instead, they encountered ships that seemed to bend reality itself, crews that combined multiple species' strengths, and weapons that rendered their defenses obsolete. "This is the power of true cooperation," Chun declared. "Not just sharing technology, but sharing ideas. Not just combining our strengths, but imagining new ones." The Meridian Ambassador's energy form pulsed with agreement. We had forgotten what it was like to be young, to see the universe with fresh eyes. Humanity reminded us that age doesn't always equal wisdom. The Synthavian representative's mechanical voice carried an unusual note of emotion. They showed us that adaptation isn't just about surviving, it's about evolving, about becoming more than we were. In orbit around Titan, a new type of ship took shape in the unveiled shipyards. It was a joint project, human quantum technology combined with Tellurian biological engineering, Meridian energy systems, and Synthavian AI. Not a human ship or an alien ship, but something entirely new. The cooperative's first true joint venture, Admiral Jackson explained to the assembled representatives. A ship that represents not what we were, but what we can become together. Back in the council chamber, Chin approached the final phase of the transformation. The old assembly limited technology to maintain control. The cooperative will share knowledge to ensure growth. Every member race brings unique perspectives, unique abilities. Together, we can achieve things none of us could imagine alone. She gestured to the gathered representatives. Look around this chamber. A month ago, some of us were enemies. Now we stand together, not because of fear or force, but because we share a vision. A vision of a galaxy where progress isn't controlled, but cultivated. Where justice isn't negotiable, but natural. The Axleth speaker, who had chosen to join the cooperative, chimed in agreement. We fought the humans because we thought they threatened our way of life. We didn't realize they were offering us a better one. In the depths of Europa, Dr. Santos and her multi-species team activated their newest creation, a quantum network that linked research facilities across the galaxy. Not just for communication, but for genuine collaboration. Ideas flowing faster than light, innovations spreading at the speed of thought. This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy, she told her colleagues. Not our technology or our military strength, but our ability to imagine something better. Our refusal to accept limitations. Our drive to ask, what if and why not? As the day drew to a close, Chin stood at the viewport of her quarters on New Geneva Station. The combined fleet of human and alien ships moved in perfect formation against the star-filled backdrop. Each vessel represented not just military power, but a promise of a future where cooperation replaced competition, where innovation trumped tradition, and where justice wasn't just an ideal, but a reality. Send the final authorization, she instructed Arya. Operation Silent Vanguard is complete. The real work begins now. The galaxy had changed, not through conquest or collapse, but through transformation. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had sparked a revolution in how civilizations could interact, grow, and evolve together. The Silent Vanguard had become a visible beacon, lighting the way toward a future that even they hadn't fully imagined. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't over their enemies, but over the limitations of the past. They had shown the galaxy not just what they could do, but what everyone could become. The new galactic order wasn't built on power or fear, but on the most human of all traits, the ability to dream of something better and the determination to make those dreams real.